Hey everybody, Cailen here, and I wanted to share with you today a look inside my 3-day work week. So I'm obviously going to dive into all the good stuff soon, but I just want to give a few moments for people to start arriving and join us for the training today. So like I said, I wanted to give you this insider look because I think it's really important to see a clear example of what exactly it looks like to have a 3-day work week and how I structure my time and structure my days so that you know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and you really have a sense of how you can start to move in the direction of working less, making more, and living better. So as you arrive, make sure you pop a hi in the comments so I know that you're here. I would love to know who is joining me today. Whether you're live or on the replay, I'm going to be sharing a lot of good stuff in this training, so I hope it'll serve you well. We're going to cover how I got started working just 3 days a week, what led me to that, and why it works really well for me and my business, and how it set me up to have my first 6-figure year. I'm also going to be sharing my favorite tips and strategies for organizing and optimizing your time, really key things if you're looking to work fewer hours yet make more money. And then the last piece I want to dive into is the best way to set yourself up for making more money, even if you want to start working fewer hours. I know often we sort of have these mindset blocks that start coming up when we think about working fewer hours, like, oh my gosh, does this really make sense for me and my business? How am I going to make more? How am I going to make money, or how am I going to make more money? There's a lot of questions, a lot of resistance. So I really want to make sure that we cover that for you so that you feel really solid in how you can confidently start working less, feel really, really good about it, and set yourself up for more growth, more expansion, and scalability in your business so that you can make more money and not just work fewer hours. And I want to mention right off the bat, if you haven't already signed up for my 3-day work week challenge, it's coming up on January 15th. It's a totally free experience. We're going to be moving through it together from January 15th through the 19th. It's short and sweet, but it's going to help you design and live your ideal work week in 2018. We already have hundreds of women signed up, and a few men too. And so I really encourage you that if this concept of really creating a work week and a work-life harmony that makes sense for you feels good for you, for your business, for 2018, I would really encourage you to join the challenge. You can find it at cailenasher.com, or you can, of course, head to the direct link at 3dwwchallenge.com, 3-day work week challenge, 3dwwchallenge.com. Oh, hey, Amanda. Nice to see you. I am so excited for the challenge too. I cannot wait to move you through it. I have been working on all the challenge content, and it's going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be a transformational experience for those people who move through it. So I hope you'll join me for that. So now that we have some people joining us, hey everybody, so glad you're here. Let's move into the training for today. So first off, like I said, I want to share how I got started working just 3 days a week. It's a question that a lot of people ask me. It's like the first question everyone on a podcast asks me, why just 3 days? How did that happen? Well, it happened for me because I had a baby and I could get childcare coverage just for 3 days, for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And so in many ways, my 3-day work week kind of found me. It landed in my lap. And the lifestyle piece of it, that felt really good right off the bat. I loved the idea of having 4 days, 4-day weekends to be with my new baby, to be with my husband, to be present for her in that way. And as far as the business went, it was kind of an experiment moving into working just 3 days. Prior to that, I had been working full-time hours, 5+ days a week, 40+ hours a week, and I was making part-time income. I was making probably $20,000 to $25,000 a year in my business. And so it truly was an experiment stepping into this 3-day work week to see how I could not only fit all the things I was doing before into just 3 days, but was there a way to make the same money, which I would have been perfectly happy with, working part-time hours and making a part-time income, but was there a way to increase my income. That was the ultimate goal, but I didn't really know how to do that with working fewer hours. But the thing that was really interesting when I moved into my 3-day work week is that things started picking up very organically. My business, I think it was a few months after I started my 3-day work week, I started having consistent like 4, 5, 6K months in my business. Prior to that, I was having like 1 to 2K months working those full-time hours. And so I got really curious. How is this happening? Why is this happening? What's going on here? And what I discovered after, doing some looking under the hood was that I was getting really clear on my business priorities when I was working just those 3 days. I was no longer letting shiny objects distract me and take me away from the important things I needed to be focusing on. I set clearer boundaries. I was saying yes to the right opportunities and no to the things that would sidetrack or derail me or take me away from my true focus. And because of that, I started working a lot more efficiently. I would focus on something and I would move forward with that focus and accomplish that one thing, where previously I would probably let distractions and shiny objects kind of pop up and say, oh, I want to go over here and I want to go over there. And yes, there is a time and place for that. And I think a lot of creative things can be birthed from that kind of spontaneous energy. But we also need to have that focused consistency piece in order for the business to take off. And that's what I needed. And that's what my 3-day work week offered me. It gave me this container, this very clear container in which to put all of my business to-dos into so that I could emerge on the other side of it with a business that was functioning really well. Prior to that, I was just working all the hours, all the time, doing all the things without any real clear system to it, without any clear schedule to it. And when things changed with the 3-day work week, it really was amazing. And so, like I said, I started making those consistent like 5, 6K months shortly after transitioning into my 3-day work week, which was like totally miraculous. I couldn't believe it. I really felt like, wow, something's going on here, and it felt really, really good. And after that, so that was the end of 2015, moving into 2016, I had my first 5-figure month in February of 2016, and I brought in, with that launch, over $30,000 by the time the launch was done. And like I said, I was working 3 days a week. So in February of 2016, I worked, I guess, about 12 days, and I made more in that month than I had the whole previous year in my business. And so it really just proved to me that the 3-day work week is real. It can happen. It gave me permission to unsubscribe from that hustle mentality that I had previously thought was the only way to be successful. I mean, nothing against Gary Vaynerchuk. I think he's brilliant and I really dig his stuff, but the whole idea of working 24/7, burning the candle at both ends, it just didn't sit right with me. It didn't feel right in my body. And because I thought I had to do that in order to be successful, my success didn't happen. Because I thought, oh, I'm not working 80 hours a week. I'm just working like 40 to 50 hours a week. And it wasn't happening. When I shifted to my 3-day work week, a mindset thing shifted for me where I took ownership of what I wanted my success to look like and to feel like. And I decided to define what that looked like for me and creating a personalized template that made sense for me and my business and my family. And so I know I'm talking a lot about 3-day work week here and the 3-day work week challenge. I do want to mention that I want you to design the best ideal work week for you. If that's 3 days, fantastic. If that's cutting back from 7 days to 5 days, that's amazing. I would love to support you in that. Or maybe you still have things that are taking up your time, like a full-time job or a part-time job or little kids, whatever it is, and you only have a pocket of hours. I want to make sure those hours are the most efficient, productive, focused time you can possibly have, and you're doing the most high-level, valuable things for your business so that the momentum picks up for you in that space too. So whether you're working tons of hours and want to cut back, or you just have a few hours that you really want to prioritize and make sure they're super productive, all the principles behind 3-day work week can help you from either direction to find that beautiful common ground where you're living that ideal work week. So now I want to kind of share a typical day of one of my working days with you so that you can really see what it looks like to live a 3-day work week. I know some people are like, well, you just cram like 40 hours into those 3 days. You're working like 16-hour days. No, I work from like 9:30 to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on those 3 days. If I feel my energy dipping or things come up with my kids, I do something different, because that's why we have these businesses, right? And so we can enjoy freedom of time, freedom of energy, freedom of lifestyle, and freedom to respond as needed to the things that come up in our life that we want to be a part of or that we need to be a part of. So let me walk you through hour by hour. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. I know some people are probably like, yes, this sounds fantastic. And other people are like, why do I need to know this? But for those of you that feel like it's super important to know what I'm doing every minute of the day, here we go. So I generally wake up really early. My whole household is early risers, and I try to wake up before my girls get up. So I'm up normally about 5 a.m. This allows me to have a quiet house, which feels amazing. And I use that time to meditate, normally like 15, maybe 20 minutes, 10 minutes on a quicker day. I journal, spend some time journaling. And I normally do some yoga, just really like restorative, nurturing things in those early morning hours. My family tends to wake, and I'll be up between like 6 and 6:30. So like I said, we're early risers. And then it's, a cup of tea with my girls as I get them breakfast. My husband, talking about what we've got going on for the day, just having some family time in the morning. That's really important to me. Then I generally head out for a morning jog or some kind of exercise. Today is a super snowy day, so the jog did not happen. I did some extra yoga, which felt really nice. But I love starting my day with movement, and I often layer that with something that inspires me, maybe listening to a really inspiring podcast. That tends to be what I do during that exercise time, which feels good. After that, it's, possibly a shower, some breakfast, those morning things, kind of getting all that out of the way before I move into my work day. My workday begins 9 or 9:30 when I come through that door behind me, and then shut it promptly thereafter so that I'm in my quiet office space, relatively undisturbed, although when my girls are loud, I can still hear them, which is why I have this huge headset on so you can't hear them. And what I do first thing is I generally review my to-dos for the day. I have my days scheduled in advance. I normally pre-plan my weeks the Thursday or Friday before, generally Thursday for me since that's the last day of my work week. I plan out what I'll be handling the next week so I know that when I arrive Tuesday morning, I have a clear sense of all the things that are on my list. I check my planner. I love having a written planner that works for me because then I can cross things off and that feels really good. I also have things scheduled in my phone. All of my client sessions and everything are set on the calendar on my phone with reminders so that I'm getting pinged as I realize I need to transition into something different. And I normally do a quick inbox check to make sure if something popped up that needs my immediate attention, I'm able to give it that. 9:30 to noon are my best working hours. So this is really important, guys. You need to figure out what your best working hours are so that you can capitalize on them. I mean, it seems pretty simple, but I think a lot of us, we start our workday and we immediately find ourselves in the dredges of Facebook or email or something that pulls us in a bunch of different directions, scatters our focus all over the place, and then we have to kind of regroup and recalibrate, and then we try to move forward in our day. That just does not work, or does not work well. I would much rather you define what those best hours are for you and fill them with the most important feel-good tasks you possibly can that need your time and attention for your business. So this could look like actually building that program that you want to build so that you can enroll those amazing people into it and have the experience you want to have of leading that group through that, and obviously bring in some money, right? That's important too. I would love you to focus that time on the really high level, high value stuff that plant money seeds. So money seeds are anything that are going to bring in money now or in the future. So that could be doing outreach emails to prospective clients, getting on consultation calls with prospective clients, doing things that, would bring money in the next few weeks or next few months, or longer term things, like I mentioned, building your signature program, reaching out to a bunch of podcasts and pitching yourself so that you can get featured and get visibility, so you're growing your community and ultimately planting seeds for growth and expansion in that way. So those best working hours for me are where I do the action steps for, oh, hey, Mike, I'm so glad that was helpful to you. I do my inspired action steps toward my feel-good goals. So I try to set goals sort of a la Danielle Laporte that feel really good for me. And once I have those, I reverse engineer them. I know all the action steps, and then those action steps are what I plug in to my calendar. So you start with something big, the big goal, you break it down into all the pieces, and then you plug them into your daily, weekly, monthly calendar. So you know what you're doing and how everything you're doing adds up to that big goal that you're moving towards. So at around noon, it's generally when I'm like, all right, I've put in, a couple like solid focused hours here, and you'll feel after a couple solid focused hours that you probably need to like take a little bit of a break. And this is where something like using the Pomodoro method, where you're actually, doing a focused chunk of time, like a focused 45 minutes, and then having a break, a consistent break, might be interesting. So that might work well for you. So if that piqued your interest, just Google Pomodoro method or Pomodoro technique, and there's a bunch of apps and information about that. Around noon, I like to check in with my community. I, do a Facebook Live for you guys, that sort of thing. And then at 1 o'clock, I take a lunch break. I generally at least take a half hour, if not a full hour. My girls are often home. I have in-home childcare, so I'll spend some time with them. Maybe if my husband's working from home, I'll catch up with him. So it's just kind of time to put business to the side, breathe a little sigh of relief, and be with my family and eat some yummy food, because that's important too, right? At 2 o'clock, it's back to work, and in the afternoon is generally when my creative fuel is starting to deplete. And so this is why I don't save my big, important creative projects for the afternoon. I tend to fill this time with like connection calls, consultation calls, podcast interviews, either for my podcast or other people's. So this is a great time for me to kind of back off a little bit and just have some conversation. It's a little easier. It takes less focused energy, like I was saying. And so that works really well for me. At 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I'll do a final sweep, make sure there's no loose ends, check in the inbox again, check Facebook again, make sure nothing really important or urgent popped up, so I can make sure all those things are addressed before kind of closing down for the day. And at around 4 or 4:30 is when I wrap up my workday, and I leave out that door, go down the steps, and I'm with my family again, and that's, cooking dinner, family dinner together, things like that. I won't go into all the details, but I will let you know that I generally go to bed by 9:30 so that I can manage to get up at that early hour of 5 a.m. So you do have to factor in that if you want that early morning time, if you need, that solid 8 hours or whatever of sleep, you need to make sure that you're doing some wind down time. I like to read and journal before bed, and then lights out by 9:30. That works really well for me. Okay, so got a couple more things to cover. Thank you guys for hanging in here. Oh, we've got 14 people watching live, and I know tons more will join the replay. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying the content I'm sharing so far. So let me tell you about my favorite tips and strategies for organizing and optimizing your time. So the first thing you want to do is take a time inventory. And so what I mean by this is you need to track how you are spending your time. So if this sounds intriguing, or even if it doesn't, you should probably do it, especially, honestly, especially if it doesn't sound good, because you probably really need to know what you're doing. So you want to track how you're spending your time. So what this will look like is for the next 3 working days, you're going to set a 60-minute timer. And each time it goes off, you're just going to take a second to jot down what you did during that previous hour. So, I'm so glad you're excited to hear this, Monique. I know some people are like, no, don't give me a time inventory. This sounds terrible. But I'm glad you're excited. You can tell I'm excited. You want to just track what you're doing. And here's the thing, try not to change anything. You're going to want to start to shift the way you're spending your time the moment you realize how inefficient you are at certain moments, but do your best to just be a witness and be aware of how you're currently spending your time. This will give you the best data and the best insight for designing your ideal work week moving forward. So you're going to do that time inventory. You're going to have 3 days worth of data. Now, at the end of each day, I want you to look over all those things that are listed on your list of that inventory and rate them. Did you enjoy it on a scale of 1 to 10? 1, not at all. 10, this is like the best thing I've ever done. So you have a sense of, are you really enjoying the things that you're spending your time and energy doing? And then I also want you to just ask yourself, am I good at this? Like, is this something that I would consider an area of my strength and an area of strength for me? And it's just kind of an inquisitive thing. And if you want to layer in one more, you can ask yourself, did this plant a money seed? And that can be very eye-opening, that you can feel relatively productive at the end of the day. And if you've planted like no money seeds, what does that mean? What are you setting yourself up for in your business? So I would love for you to find a really healthy balance between, the stuff that has to get done to, kind of make the day-to-day stuff happen. But how can you spend more of your time planting those important money seeds so you're really moving yourself forward? Then, once you have that data from the time inventory, the next step is to batch like things together. If you found that you've been ping-ponging all over the place between diverse tasks right and left, and you've got like client sessions smattered about, this is the time to think about how would you like to structure and organize it differently so that similar things are batched together so you're not constantly shifting your focus. The thing is when we shift our focus, we lose about 20% efficiency each time we do. So if you've got just a chunk of hours for your business, especially if you have a full-time job or a part-time job and you just have a little handful of hours and you've got 15 things that you've ping-ponged between during that time, you're losing efficiency every time you do that. I would much rather see you group like things together, like all of your clients on one day or in the same chunk of time, and then all of your, social media scheduling, and then all of your content creation and all of your outreach, so that you start having these little like bundles of like things, because you'll get in the flow when you tackle like tasks at the same time, which is really, really important. And the last thing I want to mention here is it's really key to honor the boundaries that you set up for your personal time and your professional time. So if you find that work is sort of like seeping into all areas of your life and you feel like you have no time off, it's just as important to have clear non-working hours as it is to have clear working hours. So we can and sometimes we'll go in different directions at different times. It's like sometimes I just really need more time for me and my family and me personally, and other times I'm feeling really like I just need to dive into my business stuff. And so that's why I like to talk about work-life harmony, not balance. Balance feels a little stagnant, a little rigid. So we need to have those boundaries though, because it's really important to have time away from work so you can replenish, refuel. You're not going to be your best self and be able to deliver your best things to the world if you yourself are not taken care of. We are our businesses. Everybody on this call has a business that is an extension of themselves. And so if you want that to be the purest, most authentic, most helpful thing it can be, you yourself have to be nourished and replenished on the daily. Every single day, something has to be there for you in it. And so this isn't just about the best work week, but just the best lifestyle that you can set yourself up for so you're feeling really good in and out of work and setting yourself up for the success that you desire on your terms. Because that's the thing. When I designed my 3-day work week, I created the container in which my success would be created. I want you to do the same. I want you to have the container that makes sense for you and your business in which to to curate and cultivate the success that you're desiring most. That's my ultimate dream. So let's talk about how to, and this will be the last thing, guys. I know we're running a little long here, a little longer than I tend to go, but I've got some really good stuff. So stick with me. The best way to set yourself up to make more money by working less. So first thing to look at is, can you outsource tasks? Now you may be wondering, what the heck would I even outsource? How do I even get started with that? Aha, this is where the time inventory comes in. Go back to that time inventory you just did and look at all the tasks that you ranked as like, 1, I totally did not enjoy this, and 2, it wasn't in my area of genius, I'm not good at it, and maybe even 3, it didn't plant a money seed. If you got like a triple threat there, outsource that baby. Give it to somebody else, because I guarantee whatever you would be paying someone else to handle it, you could make exponentially more money with that time recaptured for a higher value task that only you can do. That's really where we want to start making those smart trade-offs. So start outsourcing with something that you just don't enjoy, you're not good at, it takes you way too much time. Pay somebody, whatever it is, 20, 30 bucks an hour to handle that for you. So then you could bring in maybe a new client for hundreds or thousands of dollars to fill that space. And it's such a smart way to recapture that time and value that time, because like I said, time is our most valuable asset. A lot of us focus on making the money, but until we're smart about our time, we can't make the money that we're truly capable of making if we're not clear on what time we have available and how to make the most of that time. So another thing to think about is, are you charging enough? Are you valuing your time enough? Is that reflected in your rates that you're charging? So it might be time to give yourself a raise. It's the start of a new year. Just putting it out there, it might be a good time to raise your rates. It's always nice to give your existing clients a little bit of a heads up, maybe a little leeway, grandfather them in at the current rate for another round or two. But for the new people who are coming in, finding you new and fresh, maybe give yourself a raise. So last thing I want to mention here about how to make more money, even while you're considering working fewer hours, is you want to start thinking about how you can spend the majority of your time, I'd say like 75% of your working hours, on growing your business, on planting those money seeds, getting new clients, putting your feelers out there, growing your community. Growth and expansion, 75% of the time. 25% of the time, that's the admin stuff, servicing your current clients, like doing the stuff that keeps the business running day to day. That should be 25% of the time. So if you're currently the inverse of that, or the current day-to-day stuff is taking up like 95% of your time to start shifting that. And again, your time inventory will really help you, because it'll give you insight into how you're spending those hours and where your energy is focused. Is it focused on growth, expansion, planting money seeds, or is it focused on like responding to emails and trying to like keep up with Facebook chatter? So just notice. And again, this isn't about doing an immediate flip-flop, but just starting to like meet in the middle of maybe like breaking it out 50-50 and then increasing, putting a little gas behind the growth and expansion piece so you can have that. All right. I think we're good. I think we covered everything I was hoping to cover. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We had an awesome cruise. Stick with us for the whole duration. So thank you guys for that. And like I said, if you are interested in designing and living your ideal work week in 2018, the 3-day work week challenge is just around the corner, coming up on January 15th. You can sign up right on my website at cailenasher.com, or for the direct access, right to sign up, head to 3dwwchallenge.com, 3-day workweek challenge, and you can sign up. It's a free experience. I think you'll have really a transformational experience moving through it. I've designed it to really help you make the upgrades necessary to live your ideal work week. So I'm really excited to deliver it to you. We've already got hundreds and hundreds of women signed up, a few men too, and I would love for you to be a part of it. So hope to see you there. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Take care.